Hello and welcome to AAA. Today I am so excited to talk about chapter 267 because it has a lot of reveals about Baal and his possible plans for the future. So let's just get right into it. Starting with the cover page, we have a beautifully colored picture of Baal and Kiro talking about how a new desire is being born, holding what seems to be a gauntlet full of blood. I think this is most likely a callback to chapter 33, where we have Baal meeting Kiro for the first time in the Magic Apparatus Battler, where Baal tells Kiro to drink this wine of muddied blood. I think this is really showing us that the anime, or rather the manga, is going to a new chapter full of darker tones and much more closer to the wars that's been going on that so far we've been hidden from view, which I guess a lot of us are really excited for, and I'm really excited for. Anyways, we go to the first panel where we have Opera looking really serious and quite regal, being given reports by both a bowing Kalego sensei and a Dali sensei. I think this really goes to show how much respect Kalego and Dali sensei have for Opera, even if it is begrudgingly, especially in Kalego's point of view, because I don't think that they would be bowing to somebody just because they are the security devil of Sullivan, but probably also because they respect Opera's capability, or maybe even Opera could be a higher rank than these two. We don't really know the extent of Opera's powers, though from the Kalego Guidance series, we do know that they are more powerful, or at least they wipe the floor with Kalego. Anyway, they are giving the report about what happened during the Heartbreaker arc, the security concerns with regarding to Atari going berserk, as well as whether or not they should provide counseling for the students. I think this is quite a refreshing take for manga. I've seen a lot of shonen mangas where they don't take into account the psychological damage that happens when bad things happens. So even if this is the demon world and torture is quite commonplace, I think it's nice that Nishi does tackle a little bit of this real world application, the need for counseling, the need for mental health. Given what happened during the Heartbreaker arc, where we see Jazz actually quite literally tortured, as well as Gap and PTSD he's going through, which I think many people speculate would probably have something to do with the succubus teacher Reim Sensei, though I doubt, since I don't think she was part of the Heartbreaker arc. But we also have Sabro being force-fed drugs to induce his wicked phase more than he already was, because he already went into his wicked phase, as well as Iruma being almost kidnapped. I think counseling is probably warranted in this case. Anyway, they're talking about an investigation on Atari, as well as strengthening their security by all the teachers going into strict training. So here we have a very sporty looking Mononoke sensei. We have a Freed sensei full of research papers. Then we have Robin sensei training in the cliffs. I think probably this is the same training ground where Iruma practiced with Barbados. And then we have Orias Sensei, I believe. This looks like the Orias from the chapter where we went into the teacher's dormitory, where he just came from a late night of gaming. It's quite a space between, or quite a departure from his regular kind of preppy upbeat style. He looks much hotter here. Lol. Anyway, going to the next panel, we have so continuing from the explanation with Kalego talking about her. Now he says that Balam and Murmur are in charge of monitoring her, and her is most definitely talking about Shiida, and they are conducting an in-depth interrogation. Now, of course, even if Shiida did save Iruma by kicking very painfully Atari, she still came together with Atari, and they do have a obvious history with each other, so it's quite reasonable that they would be interrogating her. But I highly doubt that they would get any information from her, since she was already able to, escape, or rather be undetectable by Balam's buzzer, since she's just speaking the truth about protecting Iruma Kun. Though I think this panel really gives us question whether or not she's finally going to betray the Six Fingers and say everything that she knows about it, or if she's just going to bide her time and stay neutral. I don't know. We'll probably see that in the next few chapters. And then we pan directly to Baal. Let's see his reaction to all of this. So you abandoned your mission right after going undercover, went on a rampage, got your ass kicked, and barely escaped with your life. Baal is clearly, tired of this from this panel. He's talking to Atari, who is on the floor looking definitely worse for wear, which is giving us quite a callback to the chapter where we have Orochi coming back from the Harvest Festival after being hit by Robin Sensei's arrow. Hence, we have here the panel where Baal says that every time do you guys share a hobby of messing up the floor. And then we have Baal looking extremely lightningy and scary, and which he is admonishing Atari about how dumb he went. He went berserk and fed information to the enemy and is now crawling back. Now, I'm not really sure what information he fed to the enemy, except I guess that, they're after him. They're after Iruma Kun, but it seems, and I guess also the appearance, the fact that they had to send Amdusha-sama about that, it tells a lot about it. But it's really not enough to link to Baal, and I think barely any information was even given after the investigation. So, Anyway, Baal looks menacing here, saying, "How are you gonna fix this, Atari?" And Atari's reaction is, "Yeah, you're very scary, but I don't care. I'm way more upset about the fact that Shida kicked me." Now, this is just super intriguing in my case, because I'm wondering what exactly is the relationship between Atari and Shida. It just doesn't seem like Atari is this kind of loving person, I guess. I mean, I get that they're part of the same organization, but he seems here like really genuinely upset that Shida kicked him, which, just doesn't seem to be in theme for a demon who went back to the origin caring about someone else so much. Yeah. So he's talking about how she's never kicked me for real, even when we are fighting. Shi-chan hates me. He's like crying. Really, it's like, and he even calls her Shi-chan. So what is their relationship? Maybe they're brothers, sisters, siblings. I don't know. Lovers? ? Not really sure. Anyway, and then we have Baal uncharacteristically, or maybe characteristically, but for a head of a so-called evil organization, he is actually comforting Atari here, saying that you should thank Shida, because of course, from his point of view, it's only natural that he would believe that Shida is covering for Atari's mistakes. So she chose to do this by siding with the teachers and earning their trust, keeping the operation intact. Saying, yeah, she might be interrogated, but since she saved Iruma, which I guess is just a very huge point in her book, she'll probably be staying there. So yeah, and here Atari is so incredibly relieved. So he's happy that Shida didn't betray them, or at least he thinks probably Bao's reasoning makes sense. But just look at his face. Like, this is probably the most important news to him. Not that he messed everything up, not that Baal is super angry at him, but look at the small Baal there. But that Shida doesn't actually hate him, and she didn't betray them. Anyway, here Baal asks, anyway, you have something for me, right? So here, this is what Atari brought back. Now, this is clearly the same document that we saw in chapter 220 with the devil in the slot machine, which is a magical tool that measures magical aptitude. I think most of the 13 abnormal class students were shown, at least their pages were shown. Everyone probably went through it, but their pages were shown, and this was the same page that Iruma got when he went through the machine. Which now, it's the Misfits class stat sheets, And we see Baal here looking super incredibly interested in this, where he's saying, which is confirmation actually, that this is Delkira's crest. He's saying that this is proof that Iruma possesses Delkira's magical power, which is magical power in this world. To revive Delkira, we need that human. I think this is kind of weird given that Iruma doesn't actually have any magical power. At least, I don't think so. Since he is a human, he was never able to use magic before acquiring the ring. I mean, he was able to summon a familiar, but that's very much regular human being things. But the magic that he's using, the magic that he's actually, doing for spells and stuff like that, that's Sullivan's magic, right? Sullivan is actually the one who's feeding the ring that Iruma uses the magic, which is also why the magic is of Yod level and why he was able to break through Kiro's barrier spell during the Batra arc. And yet here he's talking about how this is Iruma's magic power. So it's either Sullivan actually has Delkira's magic, maybe Delkira was also a human to begin with, or that the magic is being recycled through Iruma, or the ring recycles the magic since it does have Ali-san. But then the ring is transforming as Iruma transform or goes up the ranks. So it's very unclear what's happening here with Delkira's mana and his crest and stuff like that. I hope that Nishi will be explaining better about how this whole thing is going on here. Anyway, so here Baal is holding what seems to be the weapon that he got, and he's using it to open up a secret passage. Now I tried to go through the different chapters, seeing if we can find this room, since I'm guessing this is Delkira's room, right? Since it's being opened by Delkira's weapon. However, I could not find anything that looked like this room, especially this chair. This is definitely not the royal one, or at least none of the panels that we saw of the royal one. It's also not level 666 where they do the 13 crowns meeting. I don't know. It's also not the secret room where the magic apparatus battler is at. It's not the room of the magic apparatus battler, which makes sense since Iruma Kun and the creepy guy who loves Amory is at. I don't know where this place is. It has to be somewhere we know since it is a relic of Delkira-sama, and yet I couldn't find this anywhere. Anyway, so this is a callback to what happened with Sabro, where he used his own bloodline magic to open the door with their estate. That's chapter 206. And chapter 207 is also where we saw Baal getting this weapon from Sabro's father, which is already confirmed to be Delkira's weapon. He opens this room and we get this just a very creepy laboratory with a bunch of vials and talking about ascending beyond mere demons. I want you to pay attention to the lower left corner where we have here like a trumpet playing music. Is this maybe a hint towards Amdusha-sama being there? I'm not really sure. But aside from that, let's look at this, which is a spider. Now, let's just do a little bit of a backstory on what we know about Baal so far, so I can explain what I think about this specific spider in this vial thing. So anyway, we know that Baal is incredibly powerful. He's one of the 13 crowns, leader of the army of the south. He's called the Thunder Lord, enough to make soldiers turn tail and flee. We also know that he used to be the head of the magic apparatus battler. So he's capable of inventing items, doing like shady businesses. I'm not even sure, but I think he was the progenitor of the magic apparatus battler. And he was able to give, like here he was giving knowledge and teaching Kirua, but he was also able to give this specific necklace to Kirua, which is quite similar to the ring of gluttony that Iruma Kun wears. It does the same thing where it stores magic power, which can later be released Although unlike the ring, which can periodically release magic power, this is like a one-time usage. But still, it's quite amazing if you think what Baal is actually capable of what him and his organization is capable of creating such a high level magic tool. I mean, this magic tool literally surrounded the entire school with high level barriers that took someone like Kalego Sensei to break, and only for a minuscule amount of time, with the ceiling even being up to like a yod level power. So he's incredibly powerful, but also an incredibly knowledgeable and good inventor. He is also in charge of the head of the Six Fingers. We have here Wet, who is able to erase people's memories. We don't know how. We have Miki looking, you know what, I don't even want to discuss that. And then we have Shida with her kicking abilities. Then we have Atari, which of course we already know. Then we have Hyuderin, who is a dwarf. I want to say, like, there must be some kind of mix here with a fairy or dwarf or something. But he's a race we've never seen before, who has shocked a lot of people in the water park incident. Like, they've never seen someone like this. And then we have Mamero, who is also a skeleton, so a mixed demon skeleton, whom we've also not really seen anything. And again, we have Atari, who we know from chapter 258 is a spider demon. And Balam Sensei, who is supposed to be extremely knowledgeable about the different kind of magical creatures in the underworld, he says he's never heard of such a thing. So I'm wondering right now, really wondering, if it's possible that Baal may be synthetically enhancing demons. Maybe he's like doing some kind of DNA splicing here, where he's adding the DNA of different creatures to the DNA of demons. That's how he was able to create like the dwarf demon, how he was able to create like the skeleton demon. And I know a lot of people speculate whether or not Person's brother is in the Six Fingers. Maybe that's how he was able to change Person's appearance. Not sure about this. Because especially we know that in the previous chapter where Atari was revealed to be a spider demon, it's not his bloodline. Like, it didn't say like bloodline magic, where we know it's just the indicator if it is a bloodline magic. So if it's not a bloodline magic, I'm not sure. Maybe it really is some kind of genetic modification. I don't think Nishi would put this line where Balam says that doesn't exist, and then have this very creepy laboratory looking thing a few chapters later. I think it's pretty clear that Baal is probably experimenting in some way with demons. I mean, we know that he has an ability to kind of revive Delkira, or at least steal Delkira's powers using these kind of Horcruxes, or, you know, places where we have a lot of Delkira's magical power. So he's probably done a lot of experimenting with demons before, or experimenting with magic before, right? As well as, you know, it also bothers me that he has this kind of lightning wings, which we've never really seen anyone have kind of elemental wings. I mean, even Asmodeus doesn't have fire wings. So it's something to keep in mind. Anyway, going now, let's move on to the almost the last panel here, where we have Kiryu dancing with a headless something. I don't know if this is a doll, maybe it's a person. How is that just staying upright if it's empty? Or an invisible person? No, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, this, and then he says, "I'll come to see you soon." This is probably a callback. This invitation is a callback to chapter 179, where we have the same black invitation given to Ameri with regards to the Devi column, where in the next chapter she is dancing, you know, much like Kiryu is dancing with the puppet with Iruma Kun in chapter 180. So again, we are going back to this kind of parallel, like with the cover photo of things or events that happened in the past, but now having a darker kind of turn to them. Some people also speculate that he's dancing or preparing to dance with his childhood friend. Not really sure. I think there's a strong possibility that he's dancing with somebody invisible, given that, Baal in demonology turns things invisible. So that's my take. Anyway, this was a really great chapter, and I hope you guys like this chapter review. And if you want to see more chapter reviews, more series, more Iruma Kun content, kindly like and subscribe to Azazel Amory Anime on YouTube. We're also in Bilibili, and it would really help me a lot. Thank you!